Great. Welcome to the Ask Me Anything series with Imani Alpha. Um,
Hey.
this is the April edition of 2019. Um,
Mhm.
we're so excited to have Imani here. Imani is from Kenya, Andela, Kenya, and
Yeah.
he's going to be spending a couple of minutes giving us insights about career growth and talent and all that in Africa. Welcome, Imani.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. I think like there's so many hours that have gone into preparation for this. So I'm so excited and ready to see how this like I'm ready to rumble.
Great,
Let's do that.
great, great,
Yeah.
great. All right, so we have a couple of questions which some people have present earlier, and I will just run through those questions. I would add a
All right.
few from my own questions. I'll add to them,
All right.
and then we'll have a great time.
All right. Just don't skin me alive.
Yeah, great. So first question, can you like introduce
Yeah.
yourself? Tell us what you do, background, and all that.
Yeah. So, hey everybody, again, my name is Imani. It's so good to be here on the Ask Me Anything session with Vilsquare. Um, I said my name is Imani, right?
Yeah, you do.
I work as a program assistant in charge of the Andela learning community here in Nairobi, Kenya.
Hmm.
And my work involves a lot of developer training programs, partnerships, curriculum development, skills building, such kind of things. But then I'm just queuing that to programmers.
Hmm.
Yeah, my background. Yeah, so in campus, rather in college, I studied computer science. This was I started with engineering, then switched to computer science. So I eventually graduated from a computer science major with a computer science degree rather.
Hmm.
And yeah, I got to working with developers since. It's been almost 2 years.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Great. That's nice. So, what's it like working at Andela? Tell us.
Uh, it's good. It's really good. I love the fact that I can almost control my hours. And the chance to honestly work with some of the greatest minds when it comes to technical talent on the continent.
Hmm.
This time in Africa, on the African continent, and seeing people do incredible stuff out there. It's always very encouraging and very like coming into the office, you're so encouraged to actually do what you came in here to do. And
Hmm.
I think that's at the very end of the day what you're trying to look for. Yeah.
Hmm. Considering the fact that Andela works a lot closely with talent, um,
Yeah.
can you give us like some context into what you understand by talent in Africa from your own perspective?
Okay. Oh, cool. So,
Yeah.
talent, I'm going to skew it all the way down to just like technical talent in Africa, because that's pretty much my area of expertise. But
Yeah.
then I feel when you broadly talk about talent, it means like everything, all the creatives, everybody who's trying to do something for themselves, from artists, music, literature. But then when it comes down to technical talent, I'd mean developers, software engineers, what's another cool word for them? Programmers, coders. So those are the kind of people, or rather the group of people that I would wholesomely classify as technical talent.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. So, considering, so some people are really excited about coming into the tech ecosystem, either as
Hmm.
entrepreneurs or as
Yeah.
employees. So, what kind of career advice will you give to early stage starters in tech who are
Okay.
either interested in entrepreneurship or they're
Hmm.
interested in working for like the biggest companies like Facebook, like Google, and all that?
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
what
All
career
right.
advice will you give to them?
So I'm going to answer the question in like two parts. The first one I'm going to be talking about the entrepreneurs. And the second one, I'm going to be talking about people who are looking at getting into like being employed as skilled developers. So for people who are looking at getting getting employed as developers, I feel like the one thing they should be able to understand is that they need to master their craft. Like you really need to understand your thing. Be up to date with all these latest technologies, frameworks, tools that are being used, industry standards and practices. So that's the one thing. The other thing I would also encourage them to do is work closely with people who are in the same field as them or like have gone ahead of them. So in this instance, I'm talking about mentors, because they kind of offer a lot more insight on what it is to be a developer, and they can easily navigate some of the pitfalls that a young developer can actually get into. And they just kind of make it a lot more level-headed for you as you're taking on your own journey. And then the other thing be like plug into a community. There's a lot of this right now. And there's this, it's not exactly an African saying, but I think it's more of a mantra held worldwide, where people, where it says, you're stronger together. So developers are also stronger together, and you just kind of like, a unit is not better than the whole. So when you get to plug yourself into a community, you get to work with like-minded people, you get to grow your own talent, you get to realize that you're not your benchmark. Like there's somebody better, there's somebody who's already solved for a certain problem, so you don't necessarily have to reinvent the wheel when you're coming to working on your own solutions. And yeah, when it comes to the entrepreneurs, oh my God, I feel the first thing that you need to understand is what is the problem that you're trying to solve for. So in having a very clear description of the problem, you can easily use tools like design thinking to just like draft out probable solutions, and then you easily pick out from all that, and you just narrow it all the way down to skills that you need, equipment that you need, if that's the case, and then eventually having your own minimum viable product. Yeah.
Cool. That's like really amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looking at what you've said, basically, there would be common mistakes that people would make. Most of them would make. I know you've mentioned like some of the things they should do, but what are the obvious mistakes that most young Africans who want to come into the tech ecosystem or build a company or be an employee at a top company, what are the mistakes they make in building a skill-based career in tech? You could just mention like quickly because of time.
Yeah. So off the top of my head, I feel like one of the main pitfalls that young developers have whenever or rather people who are trying to build a career, skill-based career in the tech industry, one of the things that they lack is a proper work ethic, because there's a notion that you're indispensable because you sort of like have this understanding of a certain thing or a certain framework or a certain tool, or you're like the best programmer that company has. So that sort of makes you unable to collaborate or work properly in a team. And in as much as you're good, you cannot effectively plug into a greater vision, and that makes you sort of like dispensable because you're no longer profitable to a company. And that I feel is like one of the main challenges young developers face out here. And so I'm just thinking about that. It can be mitigated by now adopting a lifestyle of excellence in whatever craft you're doing, and definitely having mentors, because they can be able to just like give proper oversight on issues and things that are coming up before they eventually become ugly.
Cool. What's your best food? Quickly.
Let's
go. Let's go to the stream. What's your best food? Yes.
my God, it was so serious for a minute. I was about to like answer for Heisenberg's equation.
What's your best
Okay.
food?
My best food would be biryani. Yeah.
What's that?
Um, Biryani. It's a dish that's made in the coastal part of Kenya.
Wow.
That has rice and either beef or chicken or mutton. And it's like really spicy and incredible at the same time because they also add things like coconut sauce in it and all that. So I really like it. Yeah.
Nice.
So if anybody out there is looking at marrying me, you can kidnap me using biryani.
Nice. I think I'm going to have one next time in Kenya. Okay.
Yeah, you should. You should.
Yeah. So, so how would you describe your typical day when you wake up in the morning?
My typical day.
Yeah.
From oh my God, from when I wake up in the morning. That's crazy. I don't think I have a typical day, but I do have a couple of things that I feel are standard. So it would wake up, oh God, I'd wake up by between 5:30 and 6. Yeah, like the 30-minute allowance is meant for me to fight with my demons to like get out of bed.
Okay.
Then I try to go to the gym at least 4 times a week. So it's always interchangeably. So I would either use that it's always 30 to 45 minutes of a workout in the morning, and then I come back, take a shower, have my breakfast, catch up on a few emails and a few things on social media while I'm having my breakfast, and then get to the office at around 8, 9 o'clock thereabout, depending on traffic. Yeah.
Wow, interesting.
Then what else?
Honestly,
My days at the office there is no day that looks like the other. I'm not even kidding you on that. So most of them are going to be either filled with partnership meetings or looking at reports and numbers and statistics and trying to work with other people on the ground and launching different programs. Sometimes engaging with the learners, getting to understand their perspective of things and ways in which you can improve and make a few things better. Yeah. And then the evening, I would wind up with what? Like a drink maybe after hours, sundowners. Netflix, chill. That's like
very important.
That's like, yeah.
Very important.
That's almost normal.
Moving on quickly because of time.
Sure.
So, what are the opportunities with Andela, and how can it be accessed without any tech background or skill? So, someone asked.
Okay. So,
yeah, I felt it's very important.
Okay. Cool. All right. So I feel Andela in itself is more than just a hub for technical talent. Because it's being grown to a fully fledged, survive on its own kind of company. And we do have a lot of opportunities around marketing, sales. We even have a legal arm in Andela, so people who are like lawyers and stuff. And all these opportunities can be accessed through careers.andela.com. I think I can just like quickly add that to the description when I'm finally done. So careers.andela.com, you'll be able to see a listing of all the different opportunities in the different departments that are open. Yeah.
So careers.andela.com.
Careers.andela.com.
Okay, careers.andela.com. So you can access all the career.
Yes, you'll be able to see all the new openings in whichever department. And not all of them are skill-based. Yeah.
Nice.
Like not all of them are a huge number of those are actually non-technical kind of opportunities.
Fantastic. Nice.
Yeah.
So I think this person who asked this next question is a business person. So the person how can businesses partner with Andela?
Oh my God, that's above my pay grade. But but I think the least that they can do, or like the best way I can answer that question is just reach out to somebody at partnerships@andela.com. So the email is partnerships@andela.com, and just like do your what do you call it? Like your inquiry and state your interest, expression of interest, and this is what you'd like to do. Yeah. So like the part, like it's a totally different thing. It's a totally different team that handles other partners. Yeah.
Cool. So what do you think? And then we're moving back now to talent now. So what do you think is talent retention, and how does it relate to Africa?
Talent retention, I think my best sort of layman understanding of that would be sort of like brain drain, but skewing it to you said Africa, right? So pretty much brain drain. But now, ideally is, what does a company do, or what does an institution have in place to keep engaging with the talent that it has, like to ensure employee satisfaction and people are still motivated to keep grinding and showing up to the office, and eventually, so like that is what I understand as talent retention. What are the policies and systems in place to ensure that your employees are satisfied and they do enjoy, they have a work environment that not only promotes their growth, but also that of the company. Yeah.
Cool. So what future do you see for African talent, and how can Africa grow and retain talent? It's a long one.
Okay,
so what future do you see for African talent? Yeah. And how can Africa grow and retain her talent?
Okay, great. So going back again to skewing my answer to technical sort of talent, so developers and programmers and stuff. So it's incredible. Like there's a statistic that says in the next decade, Africa is going to be having like the largest population of young people. I'm not so sure of the numbers, but that's like between 18 to 35-year-olds. Like that's the classification for the youth. And most of the drives that we are seeing right now, including the program that I'm a part of, the Andela learning community, are looking at tapping into that sort of labor force by providing them the correct skill set that they can be able to use not only for themselves, but also to make themselves a lot more marketable and stuff. So the future that I see for technical African talent is that you're going to have a whole crop of people that are able to solve for African problems while in Africa. So that in itself cuts out a whole dependency on the West, and we'll get to see a lot more innovations and African-based startups that are sort of smashing it on the global scale. And on how we can grow and retain our talent, programs that encourage people to sort of like continue training. I feel training programs are incredible. So companies and organizations should sort of like have that at the at its core, at their core rather, and engaging with, like, there's never an end to learning, and you can only become better by keeping at learning and looking at new technologies and looking at new tools. So definitely learning programs and training programs are ways in which we can sort of like grow the African technical talent. In terms of retaining it, we just need to find a very an interesting competitive advantage to what Western employees are offering, and sort of like look at ways to counter that.
Cool. Very, very cool. So in recent times, about I think about a decade ago, we've seen a sudden rise in freelance jobs, like Upworker, like all the different freelance platforms. What do you think about the freelance economy? Do you think there's anything like the freelance economy, or maybe it's just a hype or something like that?
I think it's an incredible sort of space for people to get money from. I'm going to start with that, because it not only provides for a cheaper labor force when it comes to the people who are offering that freelance job, and also provides an avenue for in this case, the African person or the African developer to sort of like grow their skills and grow their own portfolio by working on actual projects. So I do believe that there is a thriving freelance sort of economy out there, and it's an interesting exchange where people get to get money for products and all that. So I feel it's incredible. Yeah, I would definitely support it because it offers a platform for people to learn while actually getting some cash out of it.
Which is great, actually. What kind of platforms do you think most people use now for freelance? Anyone. You can just like name like two, three, or one.
Would I name two, three? Oh my God, I don't know any off the top of my head.
Okay, cool. That's fine. That's fine. Whoever is listening, just Google like the freelance economy and Upwork and
sure. Yeah.
So, next question. Someone said, how can African businesses adopt strategies to hire remote staff? Are there any tools such businesses need to acquire?
Wow,
how
that's a
can
very good question.
strategies to hire remote staff? And are there any other tools those businesses need to acquire?
That's honestly a very good question. And one of the most interesting things about Andela is that all our work is remotely. Like literally, all our developers are working remotely. The only thing you need is your computer and a stable internet connection, and you're pretty much okay.
Yeah.
So when it comes to African businesses adopting strategies to hire remote staff, I think they need, like, African entrepreneurs or business owners need to get out of the mentality where all of you need to be in like a clustered space or have a strict 9 to 5 so that you're productive. Yeah. So once we get ourselves out of that mentality, we're able to accrue a lot more hours from our day and be able to be a lot more productive. Because the whole crazy part about working remotely is that you're working with people in very different time zones and things overlap. And sometimes you may have like 20-hour days, sometimes they have like 6-hour days, depending on the amount of work you're doing and all that. So the mentality shift, I think, is one thing that needs to happen a lot for African business owners. And then, I mean, when it comes to tools that you need to acquire, definitely you need to invest in like proper internet connectivity. When it comes to ways in which you can communicate with your team, there's a lot of collaborative software out there from like Slack for communication. I mean, we're on Zoom right now. There's Trello and all that. So there's a lot of software tools that are out there that people can quickly tap into. And this in itself makes you rapidly grow your team by pairing people who are actually skilled in something without the trouble of them having to relocate. So this person is still able to deliver on their job, and you're not exactly investing more than you need to for them to be able to do that job.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So how do they handle things like payroll? How do they handle things like ensuring that people are working? How do they manage? Are there tools to manage all those kind of things?
So I think by the time you decide to hire somebody remotely, you have a better understanding of like their work ethic, and all that. And I mean, it's still a job, and there's still like terms and conditions, and there's still a contract that you need to sign. So if everybody is willing to honor the end of the bargain, I feel like it's such a seamless transaction. Yeah, because what you say is what you mentioned, you need to deliver. When it comes to payments and all that, depends. If it's a freelance economy, there's a lot of things that go on, from Payoneer to PayPal to direct wire transfers. But then if you're working with a specific company, I mean, now that depends on what your contract stated and how they're going to do their payment schemes and all that. But I feel for every company, there's like a very different conversation when it comes to like the legal and financial issues with their employees who are hired remotely.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, wow, that's really exciting. Like, there are a lot of companies in Africa who are trying to really move to the free economy,
Yeah.
to the remote economy now, and they're really looking at ideas. And I think what you've said is going to be very useful to them. So finally, the
Awesome.
last question here.
Right.
What do you think
Uh,
about African policies relating to talent growth and sustainability? Do you think there are policies?
Whoa. Okay.
What do
Wow.
you think
Wow.
about
Wow.
African policies relating to talent growth and sustainability? Do you think there are policies?
Well, I think there are policies when it comes to like talent growth and sustainability. But this is for specific companies with specific end goals. Google, for example, has this strategy where they're trying to impact 1 million people in the next sort of like 10 years in Africa with like the Grow with Google program, Google digital skills and all that.
Is that a
So
good
I feel when it comes to like, yeah, even the Google scholarship, Google Africa scholarship program is a part of the whole thing. So when it comes to policies, policies relating to growing the African talent, I think those are there. The big question rather is that are some of those business models sustainable? Because to the most part, we rely on a lot of donor funding for some of these programs to run. And the people that we are training and not like the turnover is not as soon as 6 months or like in the next 2 months this person is going to be making me this amount of money. Because even at the end of the day, the skills that they have doesn't necessarily come back into the company that they're training with. It would probably be going to them starting their own companies or being hired by a totally different company. So yes, there are interesting schemes around when it comes to training the African person, but then there's still a lot more that needs to be done when it comes to sustainability. So one of the things I feel that can be done in regards to sustaining the African person when it comes to talent, it would be company-owned sort of learning opportunities. So say if I work with Andela, for example, and I feel like I'm lacking in this and this other skill, Andela provides an opportunity for me to like, hey, you know what? You can go out, get this skill, but then you would need to come back and plug into Andela. So there has to be that sort of active give back into the community or give back into the organization or company that has sort of like sponsored you through that. And I feel that's one of the ways in which we can make the whole thing sustainable. So that way we wouldn't have to keep investing in new people and training them and then they disappear. So we can have a whole bunch of people who are like experts and then they just keep coming back into the ecosystem and it sort of like feeds itself.
Cool. That's really interesting. I know there's a company called Scholar X.
Okay.
You're trying to do something around what you just said now, which is quite interesting. Yeah. So that's the last question. Thank you, Imani Alpha, for joining us on the Ask Me Anything April edition 2019. And
thank you so much for having me.
From Vilsquare.
I've had so much fun today. Thank you so much.
Yeah, great. Do you have any final words? We have about 6 minutes left.
Okay, final words in terms of I don't know, like
do you have
anybody who's eventually watch or listen to this video. I mean, not everybody's story is the same, and every path kind of like has its own destination. And at whatever point it is, you're on your own journey in terms of your career, in terms of growing yourself, in terms of finding out what exactly makes you tick. Do not be discouraged because you're not evolving at a pace that is the same as somebody else. Everyone has like their own time to evolve. If it were me, I would have probably given up when I quit engineering school. But yeah, time has its own way of making you a lot more sort of opportunities end up just like coming your way, and you just need to be careful enough to like just grasp on the things that you need, evolve at your own time. Do not benchmark yourself with somebody else. You're just setting up yourself for failure. So disappointment. So just be content, be happy, keep evolving. At the end of the day, whether you make 2 steps forward or 100 steps forward, just keep moving forward.
Cool.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Imani. Look forward to having more conversations with you in the future. Have a
awesome. Excited.
Yeah. So have a great
Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
Yeah. Bye.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.